They thought betrayal would finish you, that the moment trust shattered, you would collapse under the weight of it. And maybe for a while you did. Maybe it felt like the ground disappeared beneath your feet, like everything you believed in turned out to be an illusion. That sting, that deep burning feeling in your chest, it wasn't just pain. It was the death of the version of you that believed everyone would stay. Everyone would be real. Everyone would choose you the way you chose them. But here's the part no one tells you. Betrayal doesn't destroy you. It reveals you. It strips away the comfort, the blind trust, the illusions you wrapped yourself in. Clears throat. It forces you to see people for who they really are, not who you hoped they would be. And that truth, it's brutal. It cuts deeper than anything else, but it's also the beginning of something powerful. Because once you see clearly, you can never be fooled the same way again. Betrayal teaches you the value of your own loyalty. It shows you how rare it is, how powerful it is, and how careless you were with giving it away. You start to realize that not everyone deserves access to your energy, your trust, your heart, and that realization changes everything. At first, the mind tries to replay it over and over again. Why did they do this? What did I do wrong? How did I not see it come? They can pull you deeper into negativity, making you doubt yourself, your worth, your judgment. But if you stay there too long, you lose the real lesson. Because betrayal is not a reflection of your worth. It's a reflection of their character. Read that again. You didn't lose because someone betrayed you. They lost someone who was real, someone who was loyal, someone who would have stood by them. That's not your failure. That's their limitation. And once you understand that, something shifts inside you. You stop begging for answers. You stop chasing closure from people who never had the courage to give you honesty. You stop trying to fix what was never yours to fix. Instead, you turn inward. You start rebuilding the most important relationship you'll ever have, the one with yourself. That's where the real transformation begins. You begin to set boundaries not out of anger, but out of self-respect. You learn to walk away not because you're weak, but because you finally understand your value. You realize that protecting your peace is more important than proving your loyalty to people who don't deserve it. And slowly that pain starts to change form. What once felt like a wound becomes wisdom. What once felt like a wound becomes wisdom. What once felt like rejection becomes redirection. What once broke you starts building you into someone stronger, more aware. You begin to trust eventually. Not blindly, not desperately. You trust with awareness. You trust with standards. You trust knowing that even if someone lets you down, you will never let yourself fall apart the same way again. That's power. Because now betrayal no longer has control over you. It doesn't define you. It doesn't weaken you. It doesn't weaken you. It doesn't weaken you. It doesn't make you bitter. It makes you better if you choose to grow from it. And that choice, that's everything. You can or you can let it refine you, strengthen you, teach you how to stand on your own without depending on anyone to complete you. The truth is, betrayal didn't end your story. It exposed the part of your life that needed to end. The fake connections, the misplaced trust, the version of you that gave too much to the wrong people. And in its place, it gave you something far more valuable: clarity, strength, self-respect. So no, betrayal was never the end. It was the moment everything real finally began. Because once you've been through that kind of pain and still find the strength to stand up, to rebuild, to trust yourself again, you become unstoppable in a way that no one who hasn't experienced it could ever understand. They thought betrayal would break you, but all it did was wake you up. Pain does it not politely before it enters your life. It crashes in uninvited, tearing through your comfort, your plan, your sense of control. One moment you feel steady, and the next everything shifts. It leaves you questioning, doubting, struggling to understand why it had to happen to you, and in those moments pain feels like an enemy, something to escape, something to silence, something to numb at any cost. But what if the very thing you're trying to run from is the one thing trying to wake you up? Pain has a strange way of revealing truths that comfort never could. When everything is easy, you don't question much. You don't grow much either. You stay where it's safe, where it's familiar. But pain disrupts that illusion. It forces you to confront parts of yourself you've been avoiding. It shines a light on your weaknesses, your fears, your habits, and the cracks you tried so hard to ignore. It doesn't come to destroy you, it comes to teach you. But its lessons are not gentle. Pain teaches you resilience. It shows you that you can survive the things you once thought that would fit. The first time you face it, you might feel like you're falling apart, but then you get up the next day, and the next, and the next. Slowly, without even realizing it, you become stronger. Not because you wanted to, but because you had to. It teaches you awareness. The moments that hurt the most often carry the clearest messages. Maybe it's showing you that you trusted the wrong people. Maybe it's revealing that you've been neglecting yourself, ignoring your own needs while trying to please others. Maybe it's forcing you to let go of something that was never meant to stay. Pain strips away illusions and leaves you with raw truth. And truth, no matter how uncomfortable, is power. But here's where most people get it wrong. They resist the lesson. Snorts in Clear's throat. They get stuck in the feeling instead of understanding it. They drown in the emotion instead of asking what it's trying to show them. And because of that, the same pain repeats itself again and again, just wearing a different face each time. Pain will keep knocking until you listen, until you stop asking, why me, and start asking, what is this trying to teach me? That shift changes everything, because now, instead of being a victim of pain, you become a student of it. You start to observe it instead of being consumed by it. You start a bit at it. You recognize that every uncomfortable feeling has a purpose. Anger shows you where your boundaries were crossed. Sadness reveals what truly matters to you. Fear exposes the areas where you need to grow. Even the heaviest pain carries a lesson if you're willing to face it. And facing it doesn't mean pretending it doesn't hurt. It means allowing yourself to feel it fully without letting it control your actions. It means sitting with the discomfort long enough to understand it instead of numbing it with distractions, addictions, or denial. Because when you numb pain, you also numb growth. The truth is, pain is one of the greatest teachers you will ever have. But it only teaches those who are willing to listen. It won't hand you easy answers. It won't give you comfort right away. It won't make sense in the beginning. But over time, if you stay present, if you stay aware, if you keep moving forward despite it, you start to see the transformation. You begin to respond instead of react. You begin to choose your path instead of being dragged by your emotions. You begin to understand yourself on a deeper level than ever before. And that's when something powerful happens. The same pain that once felt like it was breaking you becomes the reason you're unbreakable. Because now you know. You know how to induce, you know how to rebuild. You know how to stand in the middle of chaos and not lose yourself. That's not weakness, that's mastery. Pain doesn't stay forever, but the lessons it leaves behind do. And those lessons shape who you become. They sharpen your mind, strengthen your spirit, and prepare you for challenges that would have once overwhelmed you. So the next time pain enters your life, don't just try to escape it. Face it, listen to it, learn from it. Because hidden beneath the discomfort, beneath the struggle, beneath the weight of it all, is a version of you that is stronger, wiser, and far more powerful than the one who walked in before it. Pain was never there to break you. It was there to build you into someone who can never be broken the same way again. There's a storm inside you that no one else can see. It doesn't make noise in the outside world, but in your mind, it's loud enough to drown out everything else. Thoughts racing, doubts creeping in, emotions pulling you in different directions at the same time. One moment you feel strong, the next you feel lost. That's the chaos. unpredictable, restless, and always waiting for a moment of weakness to take control. Most people spend their lives trying to silence that chaos. They distract themselves, avoid it, pretend it doesn't exist. But ignoring it doesn't make it disappear. It only makes it louder when you finally have no choice but to face it. The truth is, you don't master chaos by running from it. You master it by understanding it. Because that chaos, it's not random. It's built from your fears, your past experiences, your insecurities, your unhealed wounds. Every negative thought, every moment of doubt, every emotional reaction, it all has a source. And until you identify that source, you remain a prisoner to it. Your mind is powerful, but undisciplined, it becomes dangerous. It starts feeding you stories that aren't correct. It exaggerates your failures, minimizes your strengths, and convinces you that you're not enough. It creates scenarios that haven't happened and makes you feel them as if they already have. And if you believe those thoughts without question, they become your reality. That's where the battle begins. Mastering your inner chaos means stepping back and realizing that not every thought deserves your attention. Just because your mind says something doesn't make it true. Just because you feel something doesn't mean you have to act on it. You are not your thoughts. You are the one observing them, and the moment you understand that, you gain your first piece of control. Instead of reacting instantly, you pause. You question what's happening inside you. When anger rises, you don't let it explode. You examine it. When fear shows up, you don't let it paralyze you. You challenge it. When doubt whispers, you don't accept it, you confront it. That pause, that space between the thought and your reaction, that's where your power lies. But control doesn't come overnight, it's built through discipline. You train your mind the same way you train your body, through repetition, through effort, through consistency. You replace negative patterns with stronger ones. When your mind drifts toward self-doubt, you redirect it toward action. When it tries to pull you into overthinking, you ground yourself in the present moment. It's not about eliminating chaos completely. That's impossible. The mind will always create noise. The goal is to become stronger than the noise, to the point where the chaos no longer controls you. It serves you, because hidden inside that chaos is energy, raw, intense, powerful energy. The same thoughts that create anxiety can also create focus. The same emotions that cause fear can also drive courage. It all depends on how you channel it. If you let chaos run wild, it destroys you. If you learn to direct it, it transforms you. Think about it. Every great comeback, every powerful decision, every moment of growth comes from a place of inner conflict. It comes from facing that chaos and choosing not to be ruled by it. That's what separates those who stay stuck from those who rise. The ones who stay stuck believe every negative thought. They let emotions dictate their actions. They give control to the chaos without realizing it. But the ones who rise, they take ownership. They understand that their mind is a tool, not a master. They shape it, train it, and discipline it until it works for them instead of against them. And when you reach that level, everything changes. You stop being easily shaken by situations. You stop overreacting to temporary problems. You stop letting small moments destroy your peace. Instead, you become steady, focused, unpredictable in the best way, because no one can control someone who has mastered themselves. Chaos doesn't disappear, but it becomes quieter, more organized, more controlled. Like a storm that still exists but no longer threatens to tear everything apart. And in that control you find clarity. In that clarity you find direction. And in that direction you build a life that is no longer driven by impulse, fear, or doubt, but by intention. Mastering your inner chaos isn't about becoming a warrior, but by intention. Mastering your inner chaos isn't about becoming emotional. It's about understanding that everything happening inside you can either weaken you or strengthen you, depending on how you respond to it. So the next time your mind feels like it's spinning out of control, don't panic. Stand still, observe it, take a breath, and remind yourself, you are not the chaos, you are the one who controls it. Darkness has a way of convincing you that it's permanent. When you're in it, it feels endless. like there's no light, no direction, no way out. It whispers that this is who you are now, broken, tired, stuck. It feeds on your doubts, grows stronger with every negative thought, and slowly tries to turn your mind against you. Most people fear that darkness. They try to escape it as quickly as possible. They distract themselves, avoid it, pretend it isn't there. But the truth is, the more you run from it, the more control it gains over you. Because darkness isn't something you defeat by hiding, it's something you transform by fight. There's power in that place you're afraid of. Not comfortable power, but raw, untamed energy waiting to be claimed. Every painful experience, every failure, every moment of rejection, it all carries weight. And that weight can either crush you or it can build you, depending on what you decide to do with it. Darkness is where you meet the real version of yourself. No masks, no pretending, no external validation, just you and your thoughts. And in that silence, you see what's been holding you back. You see the habits that weakened you, the people who drained you, the mindset that limited you. It's uncomfortable, but it's honest. And honesty is where power begins. Because once you see the truth, you have a choice. You can let it break you, or you can use it. Turning darkness into power starts with accepting it instead of resisting it. That doesn't mean you enjoy the pain. It means you stop asking why it happened and start asking how you can grow from it. That shift changes your entire perspective. Now, instead of feeling like a victim of your circumstances, you become the one shaping them. You take that anger and channel it into discipline. Instead of lashing out or holding grudges, you use it to push yourself harder, to stay focused, to prove to yourself that you're capable of more. You take that sadness and turn it into awareness. It reminds you what truly matters, what you care about, what you refuse to lose again. It deepens your understanding of yourself and gives you emotional strength. You take that fear and convert it into courage. Not the absence of fear, but the decision to move forward despite it, because every time you face something that scares you, you weaken its hold over you. This is how darkness becomes power, not by disappearing, but by being redirected. But this transformation requires can't blame the world forever. You can't keep pointing at what hurt you and use it as an excuse to stay the same. At some point, you have to take ownership of your life, your choices, your mindset. That's where real power lies. Because when you take responsibility, you take control. You stop waiting for things to get better. You stop depending on others to fix what you feel. You stop giving your energy to things you can't change. Instead, you focus on what you can control. Your actions, your habits, your response to every situation, and that's when the shift becomes visible. The same person who once felt lost in the dark starts to move with purpose. The same mind that was filled with doubt starts to develop clarity. The same heart that was weighed down by pain starts to build resilience. You don't become perfect, you become stronger, and strength doesn't come from avoiding darkness. It comes from walking through it and refusing to let it define you. Over time, you begin to realize something powerful. The darkness you feared so much, it was shaping you into someone capable of handling anything. It taught you how to stand alone. It taught you how to rebuild from nothing. It taught you how to keep going when everything inside you wanted to quit. That's not weakness. That's power earned the hard way. And once you've earned it, no one can take it from you. Because now when challenges come, you don't panic. You don't fall apart the same way. You've been there before. You know how to navigate it. You know how to take that pressure and turn it into progress. You stop seeing darkness as something to fear and start seeing it as something to use. A place where growth happens. A place where strength is built. A place where the strongest version of you is created. So when life pulls you into those dark moments again, and it will, don't run. Stand your ground. Face it. And remember, you've already learned how to turn darkness into power. Now it's time to use it. Rebuilding yourself isn't as simple as starting over. It's not a clean slate. not a fresh beginning where everything resets and the past disappears. No, rebuilding is harder than that. It means picking up the broken pieces of who you used to be and deciding piece by piece what still does these words. At first, it feels overwhelming. You look at everything that fell apart, your plans, your trust, your confidence, and it feels like too much to fix. There's a part of you that wants to go back to how things were, even if it wasn't perfect, just because it was familiar. But deep down, you know that version of you can't survive what you've been through. So you stop trying to go back, and that's where rebuilding truly begins. It starts in silence, not the peaceful kind, but the uncomfortable kind, where you're alone with your thoughts and forced to confront everything you've been avoiding. No distractions, no noise, no one to lean on, just you. And in that space, you begin to understand something important. No one is coming to rebuild your life for you. That realization can either break you or it can empower you. Because once you accept that responsibility is yours, you also rebuilding yourself stronger means taking ownership of your life in a way you never did before. It means looking at your habits, your decisions, your mindset, and being honest about what led you to this point. Not to blame yourself, but to understand where change is needed. You begin to let go of excuses. You stop saying, "This is just how I am," and start asking, "Who do I need to become?" That question changes everything, because now you're not defined by the past. You're shaped by your choices moving forward. The process isn't fast. It's not easy either. Some days you feel like you're making progress. Other days it feels like you're right back where you started. Doubt creeps in. Old habits try to pull you back. The voice in your head whispers that maybe you're not strong enough to change. But rebuilding isn't about perfection. It's about persistence. It's about showing up even when you don't feel ready. It's about making small, consistent choices that slowly reshape your life. You start building discipline where there used to be chaos. You create structure where there used to be confusion. You develop habits that support your growth instead of holding you back. And over time, those small actions begin to stack up. You start to notice changes, not just in what you do, but in how you think. Your mindset becomes sharper. Your focus becomes clearer. You react differently to situations that once would have overwhelmed you. That's growth. But rebuilding stronger also means setting boundaries. You can't carry the same people, the same environments, the same energy into your new life if they were part of what broke you. That doesn't always mean cutting people off completely, but it does mean protecting your space, your peace, your direction. You learn to say no without guilt. You learn to walk away without explanation. You learn to choose yourself without hesitation. And that's not selfish, it's necessary. Because strength isn't just about what you build, it's also about what you refuse to tolerate anymore. As you continue rebuilding, something shifts inside you. You stop seeking validation from others. You stop needing approval to feel worthy. You begin to trust yourself in a way you never did before. That trust becomes your foundation. Now, when challenges come and clears throat, they will. You don't crumble the same way. You've already been through worse. You've already faced yourself at your lowest, and you didn't just survive it, you used it. That's what makes you stronger. Not the absence of struggle, but the ability to rise despite it. You become more resilient, more focused, more aware of your own power. You don't rely on motivation anymore. You rely that's the repeater. You create it through action. And the most powerful part, you become someone you once needed. Someone who doesn't give up easily. Someone who stands firm under pressure. Someone who keeps going, even when it's hard. That's the version of you that rebuilding creates. Not a perfect person, but a stronger one, a wiser one, a more dangerous one, in the sense that life can't shake you the same way anymore. Because now you know how to rebuild. You've done it once. And if everything falls apart again, you'll do it again, stronger, faster, and with even more clarity than before. Rising with purpose is not the same as simply surviving. Survival is what you do when life is on your neck, when every day feels like a battle just to stay afloat. But rising with purpose, see, that's different. That's when you decide that your pain will no longer be the center of your story, that your past will no longer be your identity, that your struggles will no longer define your limits. It's the moment you stop asking, why is this happening to me, and start asking, what am I becoming because of this? Because purpose doesn't appear when everything is easy. It doesn't show up in comfort, in peace, in routine. Purpose is born in struggle. It's carved out of failure. It's discovered in the moments when you feel like giving up, but don't. There's a shift that happens inside a person when they've been broken enough times, questioned enough times, and still choose to stand back up. At first, they rise out of necessity. They rise because they have no other choice. But slowly, something changes. They start rising not just to escape pain, but to move towards something greater. That's where purpose begins to form. Rising with purpose means your suffering is no longer meaningless. Every setback becomes a lesson. Every betrayal becomes awareness. Every loss becomes direction. You start to see that nothing you went through was wasted. It was all preparation. Preparation for strength. Preparation for clarity. Preparation for who you are becoming. But purpose is not something handed to you. It's something you build through experience. It's shaped in the moments when you refuse to stay down. When life hits you hard and you still choose to take another step forward, even if it's slow, even if it's likely. That choice, again and again, is what creates momentum. And momentum turns pain into progress. At some point, you begin to realize that your life is not just about you anymore. Everything you survived, everything you endured, everything you overcame, it starts to mean something bigger. You're no longer just living for escape. You're living for impact. You want your story to matter. You want your struggle to become strength for someone else. You want the version of you that once felt lost, broken, or defeated to finally find meaning in everything they went through. That's when purpose starts to take over your decisions. You stop wasting energy on things that don't align with your growth. You stop entertaining distractions that pull you away from your path. You become more intentional with your time, your focus, your relationships, your actions. Because now, you're not just reacting to life, you're directing it. And with that direction comes discipline. Rising with purpose requires discipline when motivation disappears. There will be days when nothing feels exciting, when progress feels slow, when doubt tries to creep back in. But purpose doesn't rely on feelings. It relies on commitment. You keep going not because it's easy, but because it matters. You remind yourself that every small step is part of a bigger picture you can't fully see yet. Every effort, every sacrifice, every moment of resistance against giving up is building something inside you that cannot be destroyed easily. That's how strength is formed. But rising with purpose also changes how you see failure. You no longer view it as the end of the road. You see it as redirection. You understand that every failure is just information. It's showing you what doesn't work, what needs adjustment, what needs to be improved. Instead of breaking you, failure starts refining you. And the more you refine yourself, the clearer your path becomes. There's also something powerful that happens internally. You stop comparing your journey to others, because you finally understand that your path is not supposed to look like anyone else's. Your timing, your pace, your process, it's all uniquely yours. Comparison loses its power when purpose becomes your focus. You begin to respect your own growth, even if it's slow, even if it's slow, even if it was what we talk like because you know what it took to get here. You know what you had to overcome just to stand at this point. And that awareness builds confidence. Not the loud kind, but the grounded kind. The kind that doesn't need validation to exist. As you continue rising, something else changes. You become stable in chaos. Situations that once would have shaken you no longer control your emotions the same way. You've been through enough storms to understand that nothing lasts forever, not even pain. So, you move differently, calmer, stronger, more intentional, and people start to notice that change in you. Not because you're trying to impress them, but because you've changed from the inside out. Your energy is different. Your presence is different. Your mindset is different. But the most important shift is internal. You no longer see yourself as someone trying to escape life. You see yourself as someone building something through it. That is rising with purpose. It's not about being perfect. It's not about having everything figured out. It's about direction. It's about meaning. It's about becoming someone who refuses to let their past define their future. And once you step into that mindset, you don't just rise temporarily. You rise consistently. You rise with clarity. You rise with intention. And eventually, Claire's throat, you realize something powerful. You were never meant to stay down. You were meant to